Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickel is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickel.
Hello, and welcome to the Psychic Hour. I'm Kelly Brickel, and we have the reading show today with Pete Orbea, and we're going to bring him in right in at the beginning. Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Let me introduce you to everybody. So Pete Orbea is a paranormal researcher and medium based in Port Gamble, Washington. He loves leading ghost walks, special investigations, and coordinating the annual Port Gamble Ghost Conference, which has given him the opportunity to develop his skills for communicating and investigating the paranormal. You can catch Pete on his WLTK-DB show with the Paranormal Pete Show Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely, gotta give a shout out.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be on, to be able to cross promote and come on to other people's shows and have other hosts on my show as well. So appreciate the opportunity.
For sure, and you just had your 100th episode recently.
Yeah, last week I did episode 100, and it was a lot of fun. We had a couple of different panels of guests, and it was a lot of laughing, which was good. and some deep stuff too. So I'm very, very happy to make it to 100, and let's see if I can make it another 100. So,
going for 200.
We'll see.
So as a medium, okay, we're going to be, and as a psychic and a medium, as psychic mediums, we're going to be doing some readings today. This is the reading show. And so we're just going to be talking a little bit to open up the energy, and then we're going to be diving right into readings. And then Pete, it's just, we each grab one, kind of like that,
Sure.
you grab who you're feeling, and then I'll grab who I'm feeling in the comments, and
Okay.
we'll just tap into the energy that's coming forth. And so Pete,
Awesome.
Pete's gonna focus more so on mediumship readings, and I'm gonna focus more so on psychic readings. But if Pete, you want to jump on at any time with what you're seeing or sensing, you're more than welcome to tag team, and same here. So that is the vibe of what we were doing. People are already excited. They're saying, I want one. So, okay. How has your week been? And do you find yourself like with your mediumship energy kind of picking up things throughout your week, like with awareness of the spirit world or awareness of energies around you? Or do you find that it's more enhanced when you're just reading?
I think I find it's more enhanced when I'm just reading, and probably mostly because my day job keeps me so busy that I don't have time to, have that self-awareness. I'm, dealing with what's in front of me, and, dealing with many different types of situations. And so it's more enhanced when I can like just sit and like chill for a little while and get into a relaxed place. But I do have experiences randomly as if I'm at the grocery store or wherever, I'll have experiences. And usually I keep those to myself and don't share them with other people around me. But so it does happen. It's a mix of both, but I feel like I keep busy enough during the day that more in the nighttime when I'm, not working and relaxed, it's definitely more enhanced. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it gets quieter at night, less distractions.
The mind. Yeah, the mind's quieter.
For sure. Like when there's just too much to juggle, too much stress, it's very hard to receive things just unless they're like a bolt of lightning. Yeah, but that is a thing in itself. You said you're at the grocery store sometimes and you like sense things, but you keep it to yourself. And I do think, that's like kosher. That is usually the best way to go about it because you don't know what's going on in another person's life. And
Right.
it's like only if like I think your heart really gets a dose of information would it ever be kind of different to take a step forward to somebody and say something.
Yeah.
Like for instance, one time I was in Whole Foods and I just saw this young girl and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I feel like she wants to start a business. I feel like she wants to start a business. I feel like she's so smart. She has such good energy. Like she just needs encouragement. And I was just like, don't you're I'm not trying to think these things. I'm not trying to feel these things. So I just kind of like walk away and then I'm just like, wait a second. You know what? Like I had a feeling like she needed encouragement. So I walked back up. I'm like, this is going to sound really weird. She's like,
You're
oh,
right.
what's up? Right? I'm like, well, I feel like, I forgot what I said, but I was like, you wanted to start a business, right? And she's like, yeah, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, you should do it. And she's like, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, I just got like, this feeling like you should do it. And I felt like, this was like what your energy was like. And she's like, yeah. She's like, that makes sense. And then she was just really happy afterwards. And I'm just like, I felt like there was more harm in not saying something than saying something.
Right. Right. And it's hard to, I think, you kind of felt, you had that sense that you should say something. And I think we all have to try and recognize that if it's something that you're for sure about, well, maybe you could say something. I had an instance. I was waiting in line at a restaurant to pick up dinner, and I was getting all these sort of feelings. I didn't know what it was for, and I physically felt like I was getting pushed towards the person in front of me who was also waiting in line, and I felt like I was getting pushed on my back towards this person.
Ah.
And so I tapped her on the shoulder, and it did said what you said. Well, this is going to sound weird. And I said, please let me know if you don't want to hear anything, but I feel like I have something to say from somebody named John. And she kind of looked at me sideways, and then we got our food and kind of stepped over to the side, and she's like, well, what is this all about? And so then I was able to describe all these validating things for her, like things in their yard. John ended up being her husband who had passed. And it was a message about her career, because she was really at a breaking point and a crossroads in her career. And he had a message of what she should do and where to go. And it was everything, luckily for me, was spot on. And she was thinking about taking this job in California, but she's only been in this area for 6 months. She moved here, only been here for 6 months, but has a possible opportunity and didn't know what to do. Well, her husband was saying, do it, and it's going to be in California. And so that validated that for her. And then when we were all done, she was crying and like good tears, and then when we were done, she goes, God, this place is weird. I've only been here 6 months, but it's weird. And I said, I know it's full of weirdos like me. And but it was so hard to like reach out and tap her on the shoulder, you know, feeling, but I literally felt like I was being pushed towards her, like I was going to run into her. And I was trying to be like, what? Not now, not now, not now. And then, and it just kept going. So I was like, all right, I'll tap on the shoulder. Fortunately for me, it was for the right person and the right message and what was needed at that time. And so that was cool. But I know it probably doesn't always work out like that for people. And you should keep things to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless it's overwhelmingly you're getting smacked in the head to
Yeah.
say something. But yeah,
I
it's
do think
interesting.
when you're not and when someone comes to you for a reading, they are saying, yes, I'm here for this experience. I want this experience. I know to somewhat degree what I'm signing up for, right?
Right.
And in other cases that's not it. And right, there's many times where I've felt things and I've held myself, like, back, because I'm just like, there's not a reason here that I'm seeing, and
Mhm.
maybe if I opened my mouth, maybe more would have come out. But I'm just like, there's not a sorry if I censor the spirit world sometimes, but I'm just like, there's not unless you're giving me something overwhelming, there's not a reason for me. Like, I'm aware of you, but we're here for something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really try to respect that. Or like sometimes I'll say, I'll be creative, right? I'll be really
Right.
because I'll feel them, but I won't feel, like, let's say, the reason. So I'll be like, oh, like, hey, like, this business is great, like, I might have a contractor working on something in my house. Oh, this business you have is really great. I'll feel their father with them. Does it run in the family? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Oh yeah, actually my dad started it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, wow. I bet he's really proud of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
It
it'll be that.
Yeah, it's like, how do you navigate that? And that's the challenge of doing this work, is just navigating all the all the different process and the different things that can come to you, especially when, the other side knows they can talk to you. I don't know if you've ever felt, like swarmed by, going to a place and there's like just
Oh.
so many entities, spirits there, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we can talk to this person. We know he can hear us, or we know she can hear us, and or see us." And then they all just kind of come around, and then you have to kind of be like in Beetlejuice, or like take a number, get in line, or come back later, or whatever you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. I think everyone experiences that in some, unique ways. Like when you said getting swarmed, kind of, sometimes
Right,
I'm aware of there's so much spirit in the room, but I'm just like, hey, I'm not doing that. And like my boundaries are so strong that I'm just like, I'm just aware of them. But
right.
then if they're with me, like sometimes, if there's a family, like you're aware of, like, I want to come through and I want to come through and I want to come through and I want to come through. And you're like, whoa, one at a time. And then psychically too, oh my gosh, when you start like feeling people's energy, your brain sometimes will go like 100 miles per, mediumship wise too. Your
Oh
brain
yeah,
will go 100 miles per hour and you're just like, okay, I just have to slow down. I have to slow down. I have to slow down because you're getting so much energy.
yeah.
Yeah. There's just, yeah, I just think it's a unique thing, and there's different ways to handle it, and I think everyone handles it very differently. Like, how do you handle it?
Well, when things start taking off, mostly for me, when I'm holding space for spirit to come through, it's mostly like 20 movies playing on top of each other all at once. And it does go like super fast. And so then it's like, what stands out, what jumps out, what zooms in, you know, or I'll see like subtitles, or see lettering. And so it's a balancing act to try and roll with it so you don't fight it, but also pick out what you think is coming through. And what I look for is the things that are like, okay, I feel this and it's definitely coming through, even though everything else is, a million miles an hour. So it's like, it's hard to balance it, but I think with time and experience, like maybe the game slows down a little bit, and you can approach it that way. But I think I'm always learning, and things change. The more I learn, the more I experience, and so information comes in different ways. It changes every once in a while, and you still have to adapt to that too. So it's very difficult.
It's not it's not the same experience, It's like, I would imagine, just with what you're describing, the overwhelming feeling of being pushed into someone else's aura, right? Of being
Yeah.
pushed into the person you wanted to talk to. That's not an experience that is like, okay, here's your sign. We're gonna make this happen every single time.
Yeah, every time. Yep. I wish it worked like that.
Yeah, me
I
too.
wish it was a guarantee that I could just do this or that, and then I know, 100% confidence everything coming in is what's supposed to be there, but it doesn't work like that, and I've never met anybody that it works like that for them. But
Yeah. No, yeah. There's some people that have signs, I would say, that I have heard of sometimes, but the vast majority, like, yeah, no, it just is what it is.
yeah,
And you just gotta follow your gut. And I do think, like, if you really want spirit to help, not that you can make them do something a certain way, but you're like, spirit, like, please, give me a sign that I can work with, like, give me something. And I do think they will give you a sign.
yeah,
Like, right? It's just not what maybe you'd expect 100%, but they will give you
yeah.
something to work with.
Yeah, and I think a trick with all of it too, not maybe trick's not the right word, but a tip for all of that too is, like, I know a lot of people who that I've had on my show that, they work with symbols and they're like code to them. And like, so, I think for me, like in anybody maybe, if I could learn to like learn what my symbols are and what they mean, then it's like you can go those are like your signs, right? That you're getting from them. If you're getting these certain symbols or you know different ways people look, like a lot of readings where like somebody had a heart attack, I'll see the person and they're like doing this to their left arm, and that to me is a symbol of heart attack.
Yeah.
Is your left arm, that at least that's what it's come to mean for me. And so
Makes sense.
if you can like establish those in your work, like knowing what symbol, what sign means what, then you can ask for, hey, can you show me something, and then look for the symbol or the sign to kind of confirm that. But it's hard to, some people it's probably natural for them, but like for me, I think it would be something that I would want to like actively work on and actively try and practice to establish symbols and all that kind of stuff. So
I agree. I agree. I think, like, sometimes your symbols come within readings and you're like, "Oh, that happened," And if, like, they keep happening, then that's one of your symbols. Or I used to kind of like sit down and just kind of like think about, like, okay, like, career stuff, relationships, things, health things, spirit, like, send me a symbol for something. And it wouldn't work every time, but sometimes they would send me kind of like just a picture of something. I'm just like, okay, like, and it wasn't, how can I put it? When the reading is happening and the symbol comes to you, that's probably how you'll gain your symbols if that keeps happening. So I did mention that. But what
mhm,
happens when you ask spirit, hey, can you work with me? Hey, can you work with me? It's not, I guess, the symbol, I guess, itself that you start to build the aha with. It's the feeling when,
right,
yeah, it's the feeling, because you're like, oh, because you could be getting the symbol. And in fact, they could be giving you the symbol the whole entire reading. They could be listening and say, hey, we're going to work with you. But if you don't feel it or know it, you're going to miss it every single time.
right. You got to have the whatever the feel is within yourself. You got to have that to be able to recognize and then correlate, and then you connect the dots. So yeah, the feeling is so important to have. Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
There's been many, there's been many a reading where uh the spirit is a spirit, or spirit in general, will be showing me something and it'll actually feel like charades. I'm like, damn it. Yeah, you're really,
Yeah.
you're actually telling me something right now. You're actually showing me something right now. But for whatever reason, my feeling is not very clear, or my
Yeah.
knowing is not, or my hearing is not clear as you're giving it to me. So I'm going to talk about a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, a lot too, which I always mention during a reading, is it seems like older spirits, like ones that have been a spirit, on that side of things for much longer, an older spirit, or depending on the generation too, like they'll communicate through emotion, and rather than, so it's all feel, and like nothing else. And so then you have to
Wow.
try and like figure out, okay, what does this emotion mean? And a lot of times it's tied to some memory. It's tied to some experience that was had in life. And so that makes it even more challenging when you're not not getting anything visual or a symbol or some other key to what's going on, and they're just like exuding a certain emotion with maybe some nuance to it. And then it's like, oh great. now I got to try and now I got to try and figure that out, and what does that mean, but that's just how some communicate. And I found that it's people a lot of times it's people who are very skeptical of spirituality in life,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're
Yeah, yeah.
still it's still a part of their personality, that skepticism. And so they like test you in a way. Well, I'm not going to tell you what this is. You've got to figure it out, you
Well, I
know.
think that's part of the evidence too. They're just like,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is my personality.
Yeah.
So there's that. Or I noticed that, correct, there's different ways that people communicate, and sometimes it can be very confusing. So it's like very important to remove our heads from the situation. But it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard for me sometimes. I have to just take a deep breath and go, oh, I have someone more like this, right? Just
Yeah.
relax. And sometimes the person you have is very cerebral, and right, you're just going to be communicating with them very differently. Or they're very feeling based. And yeah, I do feel like how can I put it? Generationally, the farther you go out, right, you don't always get that really strong verbal connection
Right.
always.
Right.
It's
It
yeah.
is a generational thing. I think of my grandparents, part of the greatest generation, right? World War II era. I think of, they didn't talk about a lot of stuff. And so on that side, they tend to not talk about a lot of stuff. They may show you images or whatever, but they're not going to talk about a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
They're not going to talk about it quite the same way. And some of the stuff within their like references, right? I
Yeah.
honestly, when they show me things, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I haven't seen that. Or, oh, it's like this. Right. And
Yeah.
it's that's kind of it's a more removed feeling with experiences on multiple levels. And that's okay. It's just right. It's a different feeling.
Mhm.
It's kind of funny because it will feel almost historical in a sense. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? And I'm
And
just like, well, this is a person. This is very
yeah.
real. It's not like I'm reading it from a book, but they'll like kind of show me historical things in
Right.
connection.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the war happened around this time. Or, hey, like,
Yeah.
like let's connect you to an era. And I'm just like, all right, if that's the way I have to do it, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to put on archaeological and anthropological hats too. And like, think of how people were, what made them tick, in that generation, and what was considered taboo, what wasn't, and so there's a lot of different hats that we ultimately end up wearing doing readings.
I agree. I agree. I
Mhm.
agree. Different feelings, different feelings. So we're going to open up the space for readings in just a moment. And so if someone wants to have a reading, I always say make sure you write it down. Hey, I'm open to a reading. And since we're doing mediumship and psychic, if you want a mediumship reading, pop it down. If you want a psychic reading or like your numbers read, pop it down, because that lets us know what you're looking for. If you just put down a reading, it's just you're gonna get whoever grabs you, which is great too. Okay, that's like a random surprise. So welcome that as well. So and I'm just gonna say hi to all the comments. Hi, Luann, Courtney, B, and Molly was talking about earlier. I do think being discreet is a good option in public. Sometimes, however, I think once you guys tell people they know that you're a psychic medium, most people are wanting you to tell them something. Or maybe that would be nice if someone was a little bit more open, but you never know what you're gonna get. And that's
Yeah.
the dice roll again. But
Yeah.
yeah, the discreet is important.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just kind of I feel like I was picking up a couple of things as we were talking. So I'll just is it okay if I just kind of say what I was going and
Go,
maybe somebody will
go.
claim it?
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
somebody will claim it or not.
Yes.
Okay. So it was feelings of like an older woman, short hair, um not in a bad way, but like big lips, like big smile. Um, didn't have I don't think she had glasses, but I was seeing the letters ARS. I don't know if that's initials. Maybe I've got them mixed around, a different combination, but it was like very fancy cursive is what I was seeing, an A and an R and an S. And I feel like this purple was like a big color for this person. They had a lot of purple things. I felt like I was seeing like maypoles, where you wrap the ribbons around in a certain, wrap the ribbons around in a circle, and it makes this pattern. Um, it was an older woman, ARS. Also, maybe like, um, kind of lost it. I feel like this lady just had like big laugh. She must have been like a big, not a joker, but great sense of humor. Would get everybody in the room laughing. Um, really bad hip problems. Um, both hips, a lot of pain there. Um, troubles walking towards the end of her living life. Um, also had like I see porcelain ducks, like a collection of like little porcelain ducks. Let's see, like tchotchkes, like little,
Little tchotchkes, yeah.
yeah,
So
little ducks. That it looks like
if
ducks and geese, like Canadian geese, and then like you know, I don't know, regular ducks. I don't know what you would call it.
that makes
Um,
sense. So if someone can connect to this, just
mhm.
speak up. We have, Courtney mentioned her grandma had a bad hip. Just keep going. We'll put, we're
Something about quit taking too long to make your decisions. Just do it. Maybe someone who's indecisive. Just do it. Quit quit fooling around is what it is.
quit.
Quit fooling around, just do it. So, I'm guessing somebody's indecisive or they've got a big decision that they're thinking about, but I don't know what I go back to the ARS, and I feel like
So
it's
you
initials.
have someone else saying that's my dad's favorite saying. So you have a couple people saying
Okay,
I can get
just do it.
some things. And then I can
Well,
even
it's
take some things that you're saying too. So we have a couple hits. Okay. We have a couple hits of there
yeah.
might be a spirit connection for a couple people.
Okay. Well, go ahead. I'm gonna see if I can get more. It's what I'm picking up on it is a woman, so it wouldn't be somebody's dad. It's like a grandmother, a
Right.
mother, very matronly type person. Shorter hair, gray hair, but kind of curly. It was kind of had curl to it. Um, and again, just big smile. Um, I'm trying to think. Go ahead. I'll think of somebody who they resemble as like a celebrity to kind of give an idea what they look like.
Sure. I'm gonna just kind of tap into the energy. I was with you kind of feeling everything that you're doing. And there was times where I'm like, oh, that's aspects uh of my own grandma I can take aspects.
Oh,
But someone's saying like, oh, I can relate to dad or I can relate to so we have aspects. All right. So let me just kind of dissolve the fact that grandma's somehow in the mix for me too. So I'm seeing the visual that you're seeing with like the gray hair and like the curlers, the slight curlers,
hmm
that's coming in kind of strong to I guess to establish who we have here as well. And I feel like there's like kind of like this dark stormy gray color with a little bit of white coming through with the hair. And this person would have been um quite, I feel like they're quite loving, because every time I'm looking at them, they're reaching out their hands. They're reaching out their hands. Like they're quite expressive or they're quite welcome. Can you
I,
understand the reaching
I,
out the hands?
yeah, she's doing this, like putting them out, not necessarily reaching them forward, but just like, hey,
Yeah, like,
hey.
hey, it's like reaching, but like, beckoning, like come here for a hug, right?
Mm-hmm,
Like beckoning. So I do feel like there is like this openness, this humor, this affection. And
mm-hmm,
for whatever reason, let me know if you're picking up on this, Pete, but this woman comes in as quite on the thinner side, especially when she's older. I'm seeing her on the thinner side. Are you seeing that too?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's definitely on the thinner side. Um, and I'm also getting, so I had the ARS, but I feel like maybe it's an R name for the first name, but it's not a common name. And also something about like having pearls, um, like loved her pearls, sort of
Loved her
thing.
pearls. Well,
Hmm.
Courtney's talking about my grandma had short hair, gray, couldn't walk at the end. She mentions gray haired again. Her favorite color was purple. Then she mentions some names, Avery and Sheila. Maybe the letters were
Mm-hmm.
my gifted son's name with an R. So she's referencing these, I guess, the letters of people within her life.
Oh,
The
interesting.
Who
Okay.
lost a lot of weight in her last days. I was gonna say that next actually because I'm aware as I'm sitting in the chair, like I'm getting smaller and smaller, and a chair that normally would have
Mm-hmm.
just fit me kind of quite proportionally, like I'm becoming almost like it feels skin and bones, like I don't know to that extent, but I'm becoming much, much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with my body. Okay, I think this is her.
Yeah, so I think this is for Courtney.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, I will just ask, have you been working on a big decision but you keep like putting it off, or you keep going in 1,000 different directions? The message was like, quit fooling around, just do it. So, um, is that something you're working on? Or you've been putting off? Maybe it's something you've been putting off. Have you been putting it off?
She
Have you
says, "Yes,
been
I
putting
have
off a
been."
decision? Okay. So, um, there is somebody that you can talk to about this, and I feel like it's like an uncle or a brother, like a brotherly type feel. There's someone that can help you make your decision, but you have been nervous to talk to them about it, but I think it's okay to move forward in discussing this decision with them. It feels like a brother, maybe it's a family friend, I'm not sure, like a brotherly type person that you can go to lay this decision on them, and that they'll be able to help you make your decision, one way or the other. But whatever it is, you should do it soon. You should try and figure this out soon. Is kind of what I'm getting. And she's just a big laugher. I keep seeing her
Mhm.
laughing,
Mhm.
like a kind of a sort of laugh.
I just feel like she's encouraging like Courtney with
Yeah,
that laugh because she is like a big laugher. Like she's like, don't worry about it, don't sweat it, like you're overthinking it. It's like more of that, like life is just have fun. You know what I mean? Like she's
yeah,
like telling her just to not be so like anxiety riddled about these
yeah.
decisions.
Yeah, don't
Um
don't take yourself too seriously, I think is also what she's getting at. Like, don't take Courtney, don't take yourself too seriously, I think is a part of what she's trying to get across.
and she's
Um,
saying she was funny, that's where I get it from.
mhm. Big time laugher, I could see that. And
Um
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. I'm just gonna say just one thing too. I just feel like she was such a giver too because she keeps like it's almost like she's reaching into her purse, or she's like
Yeah.
pointing to something that she wants to give you. So she was just very generous and very giving and kind, and she's kind of like saying like, I want to give you this encouragement, because I was always
Yeah.
giving you things, or I was always kind of like, hey, take this, or I have this for you. And this is the same way. She's like, this encouragement of just like relax, let go, have fun life. This is another gift that I'm giving to you. Okay.
Hmm.
Like take it as that, and
Yeah.
hold on to it like a keepsake.
Yeah. Another thing I'll just throw in with her before I think she'll move on is I see her with like a yellow, I think it's yellow Tupperware cup. Remember those from the 80s and 90s with iced tea, like a Tupperware cup with iced tea. So if that's, hopefully that's a validating piece for it. But like
Okay.
like a 1980s style, like, Tupperware cup, like a drinking cup, that's kind of tall, with iced tea. I get that she was into iced tea. So interesting.
No, I'm laughing as you're saying it, because I do think she was one to kind of like hold on to things for a very long time.
Yeah.
So she would have had things like, you're like, Grandma, you're really drinking from that, or
Yeah.
I just feel I I don't know, like she had some interesting fashion and design choices. So when you're talking about, I see this yellow cup, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Oh, Courtney says my grandma loved iced tea, and those were the Tupperware. Makes so much sense. I love that Tupperware, guys. Awesome.
Yeah. I grew up with
Awesome,
that.
Pete.
I grew up with that stuff. Yeah. Um,
She had
but
a
yeah,
she had a more quirky kind of like, like sense of just what she had around. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
yeah. I just wanted to say that I hope that, like, I don't feel like she's got much more to say. Like she got a, how Kelly, things, people come and then they'll step away or they'll step forward. And I feel like for me, that she's there for you whenever you need her. So take everything for what you will, but she's there with you. Know that she's there with you and there for you if you need her. All you need to do is hear her laugh, feel her hug, whatever it is. I tell everybody this, you can connect with her. She, like she's saying that you can like connect with her anytime you need to. And so definitely lean on her, when you need to, and you get your own guidance that way as well.
Absolutely.
Very, yeah.
Absolutely. She
Hmm.
just feels like a very loving, encouraging lady who just wants everyone to know that it's going to be okay. And she's like,
Hmm.
I'm okay. And I feel like there's like a little bit of sassiness when she says it. So she has a little bit of a sassy sense of humor
Yeah.
sometimes, but she's like, mostly sweet within her humor. But she's like, I'm over here, guys. Like, it's just like, and it all goes so fast. Just don't worry. And she just wants you to know that. And she gives you like a kiss. And when she was kind of like saying, like, because she's being prepared to step back, all of a sudden she flashed me like this giraffe stuffed animal. And so I don't know exactly what that is. I got it just for a
Hmm.
split second, so I didn't get a feeling behind it.
Yeah.
But that might be attached to like your son or you, but it's just like it was a note of, I've been around, I will be around, like I'm always around.
Yeah. Exactly.
He says, I love you, Grandma. Thank you so much. I didn't want to hog spirit. I feel her. I know her. She is here. And she's
Yeah.
like, the kids, yes. We have one, just one in the whole house. Oh, she has the giraffe. Okay, thank you for understanding that. Yeah, it's in connection to the kid she's around. And it's just like, I mean, she stepped back, but she's like willing to come back in. You know what I mean? Because she's so excited.
Yeah.
But she's just so. I think she's just so proud of Courtney with being a mom. And then she's like talking about like I was overwhelmed too. I was overwhelmed too. And she's like, there's times where, within my life that I kind of just took a deep breath in the kitchen and I just sat down and then I just go, okay, and then I pulled myself up. And I didn't have guidance within my own life to handle my sensitivities. And she's like, you're more sensitive with me, so you might need more time to really sit down and breathe. She's saying you need more breaks than I would have, and that's okay. And so she's saying, like, I want to encourage you to take the best care of yourself possible and not feel guilty for it. And she's like, you can't feel guilty for it. As long as you have what you need, then you can go give it to your babies. And she's just so proud of you.
That's so cool.
Okay, cool. I'm glad the giraffe made sense.
Yeah. I didn't see that, so that's cool. She showed you.
She just flashed it. She flashed it as she was saying goodbye. But you got the iced tea, so hey, you got the Tupperware and the iced tea, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah, the weird stuff.
we love the weird stuff.
And I'll be honest. Most of my mediumship readings that I do for clients, like at least half of them probably leave going, "What in the world was that?" And then they go and they start asking family members. I give people homework. We need to go find this. You need to do this, and I've figured out that I work as an evidential medium, and so I always give my clients homework. So sometimes what's coming through now doesn't make sense until you go talk to so and so, or you look through your old closet full of stuff and see what you find and things like that. So I want to go to another older lady, if that's okay. I think before somebody said their grandmother's name was Anna, and so I'm wanting to kind of stick with that. Somebody else farther up there.
Yeah. Yes. So that's Stephanie. Yeah. She said my grandma was Anna.
Yeah. And with her, I feel like I get a real Old West vibe from her. Even though, so we might be going back a few generations. I'm not sure, but I get just kind of like a Depression era type person. Simple, she lived with simple things in life. I feel like I feel like I see a photograph from a long time ago, and it's, she's standing there in front of a house. It's black and white. And she almost has like where it's like two braids or two where you separate your hair. And so you've got, like two braids coming down. Something like you might think of with somebody Native American, like that style where they got the two braids. And I feel like she's wearing like this brown sort of shawl sort of thing in this picture. But I get a very Depression era feeling from her. And this is, we talked about feeling eras before, feeling different, different times in history, right? Feeling a certain era. And like, I think there's a certain era of feeling with the Depression era and what people went through and what they talked about, what they didn't talk about. They're generally quieter people, but tough people. I feel like that this lady is really tough. But what I'm getting from her, I'll get to the point here.
No, hey, whatever you feel.
And I think this was from Stephanie. And like, are you feeling really unstable with your life situation right now? I feel like she's showing me like a rocky platform that's kind of doing this, like feeling unstable.
She says yes. She says yes.
So what I get from her is like, you're the only one who can steady the ship. You're the only one who can steady that rocking platform.
She says, yes, my dad passed recently.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Feeling unstable.
Okay. I feel like his name's either an A name or Michael, or, an M name, Martin, Michael, something. Um, but for her, it's like this. It's kind of taken over your life. The anxiety of not having the stability that you think you need in life, but you're the only one who can steady that. Like, don't expect other people to help you steady things. You're the one that has to, like back in her day, buckle down, and make things happen for you. So like, don't, if you're like, maybe you have a good support system, don't rely on that as much. Try and take more of the reins yourself. And you need to look at your history and your family's history and take the tenets of what they represent to help guide you now to steady that ship. So what was your family like? What are the, all the things they went through? Were they, very strong and persevering through things? Kind of look at, if you know, or you can ask somebody about, stories about the family, things that they went through. Like, you'll find some guidance in there and how to make yourself a little more stable. I feel like there's also a little blonde boy that's with her, that's shy and kind of stands behind her. Don't know who that is, but is any of that resonating?
She
Oh
was
my gosh.
talking. She was talking about totally. You were talking about how she needs to take care of herself, she's responsible for her own stability. She talked about totally. I'm taking care of my 95-year-old mom, and then you mentioned the grandmother and children behind her, and she said Anna became a widow at 33 and with 7
Wow.
children.
Wow. It's a little light colored hair kid. I'd say he's like a toddler to infant, 2 years old, 3 years old, that's with her. Maybe she lost one, um, back then. But the message is just she's Stephanie, that you're the one who can make things stable. And it's,
She
you know,
lost a few. She's saying she
okay.
lost a few to miscarriages.
Okay. Well, I see one. I see little guy. Um, did I get your dad's name? Did I get that? You know,
Stephanie,
yeah,
uh,
was it like an A, Anthony, or a Michael, something like that?
said an A or
Um,
M. Mhm.
yeah. I don't know what's with the letter A today.
Yes.
Sesame Street. Today's letter is A.
She said, "My dad is Lewis.
Lewis.
My,
Okay.
my dad
Okay.
is Lewis.
Okay. Well, I hope some of that makes sense. And I don't know if,
Marco is my son." She said, and she can take an M for her son.
okay. Um, hmm.
I'm gonna,
Go ahead.
if I may,
Yeah,
just for a second.
absolutely.
So I was feeling like the very old world with grandmother coming in for a moment, and it's just encouragement from the spirit world of how you have your whole family backing you, and they understand you in different ways now than they did when they're alive. So what they instilled upon the family, it's kind of like all up for grabs as long as it works for you. And so I think that's very important because I think at times the upbringing could be like strict on one side of the family and like where they came from and what they were expected to do. And it was very mind over matter, mind over heart, even though there was like a lot of love. And so
Mhm.
I'm like seeing your hands and like, there's this need for like all this overflowing, I guess, passion to come into the hands. And it's like the passion can't come from imagination, or the passion has to come from, am I in touch with my heart? Am I in touch with my feelings about what's the best for me? And some of those feelings can be found through the self-care again, like, yes, this is what's best for me because it's healthy. This is what's best for me because I feel good within my body, within my heart, my energy levels. Like, this is what's healthy. And thus, to find more healthy things and positive things that I can transfer to any other relationship that I come with into. Like I can enhance my time with my mom, I can enhance my time with my friends, and enhance the time with a relationship. But there's this need of all this pink energy to come into the hands, and your family is like kind of saying, throw all the rules like out the window. Here in the spirit world, we see it differently, and we just want you to just love and be loved, and be taken care of, and to find that within yourself, and you utilize anything you can to find that. Okay, that's what I'm getting. I could say more, but there you go.
There you go.
All right. There you go. Grandma showing me a lot about the plants, the crops and stuff. All of a sudden, okay, go ahead. I just Grandma has a lot to say, but I'll go back to you. Okay.
Well, no, that's great, and I could visualize everything as you're talking about it, kind of going through this movie in my mind of seeing things, and so very cool. So and now I'm getting something about, it's so cliche though, white feathers. Someone is trying to leave signs by white feathers, and someone who's really considers everyone on the other side as angels, quote unquote, angels. There's a lot of winged stuff going on here. Gosh, I feel like it's another woman. Can't get the
white
name.
Feathers. We got white feathers.
So if somebody's been notices white feathers all the time around their place, or random weird places, maybe if you walk to work or something, you see white feathers often, they're like trying to leave you a sign. And it's see if I can get more specific.
For whatever reason, I see this ginormous tree like by where they would have found the white feathers. This ginormous, whether it's like this sturdy oak, I don't know if it's an oak tree, but it's just this
Big
ginormous
tree.
Yeah, a big tree in vicinity of where they have found these bigger, and they're bigger white feathers. Can you understand that too?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe this is one of those symbol things. Maybe.
Yes, it does. It does.
It's a symbol for, it's somebody who really took you under
Someone
their
says I
wing.
can take it. Someone says I can take it.
Okay.
Monica, so you can take the feathers. Keep going, Pete. I'm just letting you know someone can take it.
Yeah. It's I think it's a symbol for somebody who took you under their wing. It wasn't your parent, but they raised you, sort of thing. And they're on the other side still looking out for you and still trying to put you in the right situations, so that you're not lost. Like you get lost a lot. Not like geographically, but with you feel like you don't know yourself a lot, so you feel lost. Like, what am I supposed to do? That sort of thing. This person is there. It's a motherly type feel. I can't get who it is, but I'm the feathers to me now are like really that symbol of like, I took somebody under my wing and raised them, but I'm not their mother. You know what I mean? It's like somebody.
I'm just gonna make sure with Monica and you as you're tuning into spirit. So Monica, okay. So Monica, can you take the feathers, and can you take someone taking you or another one in the family under their wing and raising them? Monica is also mentioning, as she's letting me know, that she could take the ARS.
Oh,
And she
okay.
could take the older woman before, and she could take the short hair and the big laugh. So
All
she wants
right.
me to mention that too.
Well, then
So
I
it's
would say for Monica, then Was there somebody in your life that's transitioned over that really took you under their wing? Maybe it was like a second mom, an auntie that's a special auntie, I feel like it's somebody that's not directly related, but like took you under their wing. And I'm just keep going back to that now with the feathers.
And then Catherine is saying that she can relate to a 300-year-old oak and a baby owl and finding feathers. So we got two kind of, it's where you want to go,
Right. Right. So we gotta, all right. So everyone on the other
Thank you
side's
for
got to like
understanding the oak.
stand apart. They've got to stand apart now.
I'm letting you take the
They're
reins because you've been starting the connections. So I'm like, you go. I'll follow.
I feel like this person also drove a blue like boat, like a old Buick, like a car that you would call a boat, right? One
Right.
that's like whoosh, like a
Is it like rounded in the front?
kind of, I guess it's kind of like think late 70s, early 80s era of cars,
Okay.
big tanks. I feel like she drove one of them. My grandmother drove one of those. I don't think it's my grandma though.
And so to distinguish kind of where we're going, can someone take a
Blue
big
car.
Buick blue car?
Um, the way I see this person is like long, flowing white hair. It's almost as if there's like she's
Catherine, I'll
kind of
go back to you afterwards. Yeah. Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead. Big flowing long
Yeah,
hair.
it almost
Go ahead.
she almost looks like an angel to me, like what you would think an angel would look like. Sharp features, like long, flowing white hair, almost like she's suspended. Anti-gravity, and so it's kind of flowing. I usually don't see stuff like this either, which is interesting.
Someone's saying, I have a blue Buick in my yard. It belongs to my godson, though. So I would just, yeah, like, hey, I would just stick with spirit and describe some things if you're getting them, and then we'll go that direction.
I feel like with that, it's just like that's what it is. I'm not going to get farther with it.
Okay.
I feel like that's what it is. So somebody is there for somebody.
Okay.
Real vague.
I want to go back to Catherine for a second, if that's
Yeah.
okay. Do you want to follow this one?
Go ahead.
She's the that's the energy originally brought in the 300-year, the oak tree, and the she saw, there's the baby owl and the feathers she was finding. And I do feel like that's where you started. That's where, and I'm just getting a pull that direction. I really am.
Go ahead. Yeah, go.
Okay. So, with Catherine, what I'm getting is that, so I'm getting that you got this on like on a walk. So I want to get into the energy kind of where Pete was for a second. I'm seeing that you're getting signs from a walk, and you've seen, of course, there's the owl connection, but I feel like you've seen larger feathers too as well. If you can take that, Catherine. And I feel like there's this enormous pull, whether it's travel because of family or travel because of it's just where you want to go. But there's this enormous pull for needing to get by the ocean. Because I'm just all of a sudden I'm feeling like this breeze on my face. And it's like, like when sails are making that noise, right, in the wind, and you see like the horizon and all the blue. And so it's like it's the acknowledgement that you need to go and get out there, because that's where the healing is, that's where the positivity is. And spirit kind of leads us to places and tells us to not overthink the things. And so I'm just acknowledging, hey, get out there and go, get out there and go. And when I'm saying that, and this is like more psychic that I'm getting hits off of this information, there's this need also, like, I need you not only to be around family more, but it's like, whether it's like your friends that feel like family or family that feels like friends, there's all these connections that they're encouraging. Like, I'm just seeing you at dinner, like with one-on-one, and it's just like, I need you to, like, get out and have dinner. I need you to go out like at 7 p.m., where you're talking until like 9 or later, and you're like enriching your heart with these connections, because I just feel like those are kind of some of the happiest moments. And like, life is kind of going on, and we're not reaching out and getting out and being with the ones we love enough, and being up late with like these rich connections. And she's saying, okay, I don't go out anymore. I'm like, but it's like, you can. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you literally can. Like, you literally can. And it's really healthy and it's really good for you. And they're just like, when you see, like, let's say a baby owl or a feather, that's like the reminder for you of, keep going, you're on the right track. Like, we want you to feel like happy again, right? That's what I'm getting. And some of these connections that need to be stimulated within your life again actually will help stimulate so much happiness within you. She's
Yeah.
like, I don't go out anymore. My dad and sister is here with me. I can't be happy. Um, I think really you're gonna have to take the reins, and you're gonna have to, like, that was the whole, like, stay out till 9, 10 p.m. Like, go to a restaurant with a friend, go to a you need to be out in these safe but beautiful and heart centered friendship places where you're not at home having to feel the energy of home, because it's like, and just more walks and more energy where you're back to the ocean, and you're like, spirit is literally pulling you outside of your house. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I see. I get that
What are
too.
you getting, Pete, too? Go
Well,
ahead, go ahead.
I would say, to start, to take steps with all of this, because you start with the stars, go out at night and just sit with the stars, look at the stars. And what I'm getting with her as you're kind of going through things is like, trust is like her big thing. She's got big trust issues. And let me know if I'm right, Catherine, but you let those govern every aspect of your life, is trust, because, and it's very, very warranted, things that your trust has been broken a lot, but now you need to, it's almost like, refresh yourself, that like Kelly's saying, take the reins and take some steps, because you've got so many walls put up right now. You're not letting anybody in, you're not letting anybody get close to you. May have pushed people away over the past few years, and it's all about trust. But if you got to be able, like, you got to work on trusting yourself. And and I saw that you said that you've been praying, and keep that up, but pray to whoever you're praying to, but also you want to, like, focus that energy. Think of praying as like focusing your energy too. And so you have that time, you're taking that time to sit and pray and focus on that. But I want you to focus on driving white energy, white light, while you're praying, into your core, into your heart, and have it expand from inside yourself out. You need to start bringing down some of these walls, because people can be trusted. You can learn to trust new people. Maybe not other people have burned you in the past, but you can learn that you can do this. You can learn to trust and start stepping outside yourself. But you have to work on these walls that you've got. It's taken over your life. You're thinking every day. It's trust, 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 trust is all you've been getting. And so when you're praying, use that time also to let good energy in. You're sitting there focusing, you're taking that mental space to pray, but so utilize that and visualize through your prayer white light filling your heart, and that it comes out. It emanates from within you and out, and start breaking down some of those walls. And if you start to feel better from doing that, keep doing it. And then as Kelly's saying, take those reins. It's probably going to be hard, to get through the first part of it. But once you break through this, taking the reins and getting out, going for walks, I think you'll find things will start to break down in a positive way. And when you go on these walks, that's also another good time too. Like, just be present and don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about yesterday while you're on a walk. Be present in that moment. Take everything in, hear the sounds of birds, hear the wind rustling through the trees, whatever it is. Be there in that moment, and that will help maybe kind of clear some of this out for you. I feel like there's just a lot of negative trust stuff with you, and so um keep working on it and keep praying and keep trying, and as Kelly said, get out there.
Get out there. I'll say just a couple of things, and then if you want to, let me know if that was it, or if you just tap me on the shoulder if you want to say more. So um so yeah, like I just feel like you're being haunted by the things that you wish you could be doing and that that you're not able to do right now. And I feel like spirit is trying to get you to move. And so you said like, hey, I can't even breathe sometimes, and that's what spirit was telling me, like, it's just ask spirit to help you breathe, to do the next step. And like part of being, and you're a really strong person, you've acknowledged that even though this is a difficult time for you, like part of being strong is like, sometimes when I do things like, there are days where I come on the show where I'm feeling very wobbly and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And I'm sure Pete can relate. There's
Oh, yeah.
times in his life where he's like, if I feel like a mess, but like, let's see how this goes. And it's just, it's about walking as you wobble, but like having God help you breathe while you do it and knowing that you're going to survive, right? So it's about feeling incredibly weak as you're being strong and knowing that's still strength too. So it's like it's going to feel very weird right now, but if
Mhm.
you know that you've been having these thoughts of, hey, this is good for me, I'd like to have this, I only wish I could have this, go get it and be scared as you're doing it. But that's going to take you to the other side of going, I needed this, and I got this. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. So don't think about it. Just kind of, if you know it's good for your heart, walk towards it, even though it feels so crazy right now. And so we're giving you a lot of love with that. And that big oak tree helped to facilitate all this. And I just feel like it's on the right hand side of the path. I want to talk about the oak tree is on the right hand side of the path, and the spirit world just wants to remind you again that they're looking out for you when they're on the path and they are on your right side encouraging you.
Awesome. That's
okay,
great.
cool. All right, with that said, we're at 2:00. So everybody, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for receiving our messages. And thank you, Pete, for being here and bringing your mediumship and your passion and your talent. It was so wonderful, and just you jumped right in, and I love it. I love your energy.
Spirit says when to go.
That's right. That's why I was like, hey, I'm just like, hey, go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for the opportunity to come on and do this with you. It's a lot of fun, and wishing everybody out there, even though we didn't get to everybody, you know, um, keep seeking answers and keep looking for your own ways to connect to people, and just thanks everybody for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Before we go, I always just let people know where can they find you if they want to reach out for a reading or any
Sure.
services that you are doing right now.
Yeah, thank you. So go to portgambleparanormal.com. It's right here on my hat if you're watching, portgambleparanormal.com. And you can book readings through there. And you can also, if you're in the Puget Sound area, or maybe you're going to be traveling to the area, look me up for ghost walks. I'll be scheduling some summer ones soon, but you can find me at portgambleparanormal.com or Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on the same station, my show, Paranormal Pete Show. And I look forward to seeing you all there.
For sure. And then the very last thing we do is with our guests, Is there a piece of wisdom that you'd like to leave everybody with, whether it's inspiration, a thought, just something from the heart? That's what we always do.
Well, that's an easy one for me because I talk about it all the time. And since this is a somewhat new audience, for me is what I would say is be present. It's as simple as that. Be present. That's what I get from the other side all the time, is for people to be present, be in the moment with those that you're with, or if you're by yourself or whatever, just be there in the moment and be at peace with that. And if you can do that, it improves everything in your life. If you can remember to be present.
Absolutely. You heard it from Pete. Take the present for the gift it is. And
Yep.
with that, thank you so much again. We will see everybody on Friday. We're going to be with Todd Bates talking about his book and his life. So shout out to Todd. And
Nice.
thank you so much, Pete. Everybody, we're going to wish you a wonderful day and go with love, luck, light, and don't forget to live, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.